What up, everybody? It's the Build Different podcast. It's the Olympics, man. It's that time that comes around every 4 years with national pride for your country, for your athletes from your said country kind of come together. You put aside like the differences, countries at war, actually make a little bit of peace and come together and compete against one another. And it's historically been something that's like where the world kind of, I wouldn't say stops the bickering and fighting, but at least the athletes involved see each other as human, which I wish we did in normal life. Maybe sport is like a metaphor for life, and I wish it was a metaphor for the way we treated each other and the way we looked at each other, like, competing and being the best and trying to prove yourself as the best rather than battling and trying to destroy each other out in war and take over each other's country. But besides that point, it's a good time of the year. Um, it's only comes around every 4 years. It's cool to see the country that hosts it and see what kind of show they put on and how they what they build the stadiums and all of that. But I'm not sure how big you are into Olympics, Sean, but I've always been huge ever since a kid. Like watching the Olympics is always a fun time for me. Not only me, my family were heavy into it.
Yeah, I mean, I've never been super big into the Olympics. I do like watching certain sports, and I especially like watching people who are just known as, like generational talents, like,
Mm.
probably greatest to do it. So it's like, the guys like Michael Phelps, like grew up
Oh yeah,
watching him swimming, Usain Bolt in, running, things like that. So it's like even guys, like Usain Bolt, he's not American. He raced for Jamaica, but it was
yeah.
cool watching him compete and, just seeing the level of dominance that he had in track and field or track, I guess. So yeah, I mean, I've always liked watching that. I've never been someone who watches every sport, but I think it's really cool seeing, the top athletes in the world all coming together and
Yeah.
competing and, really duking it out because you don't always see that. You see, sometimes people will sit out or sometimes, you know, for this reason or that reason, you just don't see the highest level of competition. But usually the Olympics is the peak level of competition in most of these sports. So.
No, I 100% agree with you. It's just like just the competitive side of it. Me, on the other hand, I watch everything. I try. There's so many sports, and it's really cool to see all of the different athletes and seeing them all kind of coming together. And you it's crazy because first of all, opening ceremony, I wanted to go there. That's always something that I watch and family watches because it's like different cultures, different. You learn a bit about their history, about their makeup, about how their country evolved. Last year was Tokyo, and thought they did a good job of showing the history of Tokyo and its beginnings and how it came to fruition and where it is now. Like the technological side of it was really cool. How that advanced over time. This year, France, they opened up. Uh, I don't think it was the best opening ceremony. They did too much mixing of live with video. What was cool was that they had and I think this is the first time I've ever seen it, or maybe I don't know if it's the first time it was ever done, but they had the athletes arrive rather than walking around the stadium and you announce them and you have the flag bearer up front. They had the athletes ride on boats up to a platform where the Eiffel Tower was, where they gathered to watch the lighting of the torch. But they kept mixing in live video. They did the Phantom of the Opera was the main. I guess you would say he's the mascot, but they did video with him, and it wasn't even Phantom. I'm not sure how familiar you were with Phantom of the Opera.
Not very.
Long time. Um, it's one of the big opera stage shows that has been around for forever. I don't even know how far back it dates, but really cool story. I actually went saw the live play one time with a date or whatever, but I had already seen like the movie and everything. I think they'd have cartoons, but anyhow, he was the main character and he was just kind of going through the city. He had the torch. He was going to all of their sites, and they had, they obviously had multiple guys. or maybe even women jumping from rooftop to rooftop. And they, it would be a video of him or her, and then you would see the boats with a couple countries, and they show that, and then they would again pan back to him. So it was a little weird. And then they would do just different things, Marie Antoinette and all these, they just their history, and they would appear at the Louvre, and I don't know. Normally, you have it in the stadium, one place where they have all the performances. It's almost like, have you ever seen Cirque du Soleil?
Yep.
How they do, cool little acrobatics and maybe some storytelling. Maybe there's some graphics. It was just weird because it was all over the place. It was raining too at the same time, so it was just a mess. And then they did some artistic depictions. Some of them I didn't really agree with. Like I think, you know, I don't know. You just leave certain things out of mocking religions and things like that. I didn't like that at all. So that is the main reason why I didn't like it. But we're supposed to respect each other. We're supposed to respect each other's ideals and all that stuff. So that stuff has no place in the Olympics or even in anything. You know what I mean? If we're supposed to be respecting each other. But what was really cool was when they finally got all the athletes up to. We have the most athletes out of any nation. I think France was right behind us. We had like, I want to say 600 and something athletes. France had like, I want to say we had like 670, 680. France had like 615. China had like 590 or something. So we had our own boat to ourselves, which was really cool because some of the countries shared boats. But we had a big, big boat. Of course, France had the nicest boat, and they came out last because the host country does that. But once they all got to the platform after some of the other shenanigans and nonsense, that was cool because they were right in front of the Eiffel Tower. They had built a stadium, which I think now is the where volleyball is being housed,
Okay.
I believe. But you had the Eiffel Tower as the backdrop. Then you had Celine Dion up on top of the tower, just singing her heart out, and that was a powerful moment. You know what I mean? And then the lighting the torch was really cool because it was like a balloon, almost like a weather balloon, but from my understanding, it's not real fire. It's a mix of water and vapor or something like that, and so it's like eco-friendly, whatever. But it was sitting up high next to the Eiffel Tower, and that was the lighting of the torch. That was pretty cool, but yeah, opening ceremony, nah. But the rest of it, the Celine Dion part was cool, but yeah. But as far as like the games and stuff like that, I watch everything. You know,
And I mean, I even heard, before the Olympics officially started, I was hearing controversy about, some
the
of the
dances.
choices that France made with,
Yeah,
spending a lot of money trying to clean up the river, which I'm assuming was, due to them wanting to do the boat thing, wanting them to do some of the events
triathlon.
in the river, yeah. Which I heard they ended up canceling because the river wasn't clean
Yeah,
enough.
which
Um,
is sad. Because the triathletes, I think they were going to swim that part. Have you ever watched a triathlon?
I've probably seen it before. I didn't watch it this year if it happened or
I don't think it happened yet. From my understanding, I don't think it happened yet. That's a grueling race, man. That's crazy. It'd been even more grueling if they were swallowing toxic water and having to. But yeah, no, that was a big thing. Like I heard a lot of the performers. There was a strike beforehand. Olympics, when you think about it, it generates a lot of money for these countries, but there's a lot of times there's a lot of waste too because like I remember Brazil had it and it's either the World Cup or the Olympics and a lot of those stadiums are like abandoned now. Like it's like
I
you
think it
spend all
was
this
World
money
Cup
for it.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah, the World Cup.
No, I've heard the same thing, and like it really is it's tough because it's like you want to be able to give that opportunity um to any country that is, willing to host it and obviously, you get certain money to fund everything like that, plus using taxpayer money or whatever. But at the same time, it's like you also want to do it somewhere where those know that everything's going to be kept up and not just go to waste afterwards. It's going to continue to be in use, continue to generate revenue for the country or for the city, not just a one-off, like, oh hey, here we generated all this revenue for a week, and then like, now the rest of it's just pocketed by government, and everything else goes to crap. So it's a tough
Yeah,
situation.
the other thing side of that as well is that some of these countries, depending on country and the system that they carry, like the class system that they have, they will, people die building these stadiums and these buildings, and there's no really care about what happened to them or or their families or their loved ones that are kind of waiting for them to come back. Or there's almost even a damn near slavery. You know what I mean? Like for some of these people to build some of these buildings. So that's kind of the darker side of the sport. But I guess going back to the sport and the athletics and um, yeah, you were saying there's specific sports that you watch. Um, Again, which ones interest you the most? I think you kind of touched on a little bit, but which ones are you? You're not big into Olympics, but you tend to watch particular ones. Which would those be?
I usually like watching swimming. Um, I like watching the track events typically.
Same.
Um, this year I'm interested in watching, basketball, obviously. The United States put together a team that is actually, built of some of our best players, as opposed to like previous years where some of those players have sat out, so having
Hmm.
I think that gives us a better chance to compete at the highest level against some of these other countries. And then, I think, what other sports do I like? I like watching gymnastics. I think that, is usually pretty cool. Even though and this is something that like is just more of a personal thing for me. It's like I was talking to my mom about it last night. I always have trouble with sports that are done entirely based on like judges' scores and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Because it's like it's so subjective. Like I could watch two people and it's like to me it's like, oh, they're doing really good, and then like they get the score and it's like, oh no, they did horrible. I'm like, oh, okay. I thought, I thought they were doing good, but like, they have a specific routine that they have to do. And, if they like skip certain steps of the routine, or they like have a little bit too far of like a jump or whatever and go off the mat, like all those things can be deducted. But it's like being someone who's just more of a casual, watch it every 4 years type of person, it's like I don't necessarily know how that judging works. So I'm just kind of, a novice and say, "Oh yeah, that looks good," and then they're like, "No, didn't, not good." I was like, "Oh, okay."
Well, the other thing about gymnastics, not to cut you off, is the damn announcers are so damn brutal, man. Like it will look like that they put in and a lot of these are really young people. You know what I mean? They're teenagers. But man, it is brutal. It's harsh. Like the announcers will be like, "Oh, I saw a little step there. It looked like amazing performance, but oh, a little step there, a little step here. Like oh, she stepped her pinky toenail was quarter inch out of bounds. Like, it's like oh man." And then all the cameras on them. Like as soon as if they do something, if it's good, then I'm sure they want the cameras in front of them. But when they mess up and then the camera's like just right there and it's rough, man, and a family in the crowd crying and stuff. But
I also,
um,
yeah, another sport
mhm.
that I remember watching a lot is beach volleyball. I've watched that
Yeah, sounds
typically.
good.
Being, my mom played volleyball. I played volleyball in high school, so I always think that's fun to watch. And then yeah, I
Indoor
mean,
school,
what was that?
indoor school as well.
Yeah, yep, that too. And I'm also excited. I mean, I'm not a huge person who watches golf, but I think it's interesting that that golf will be in the Olympics, and I'd be interested to see how USA does in that as well.
Yeah, no, all sports that I watch as well.
Are
To
there
be
any?
honest, like, huh?
I was gonna say, are there any sports that I didn't mention that you're interested in as well?
There's quite a few. I What I was gonna say is interesting as well is like because going back to the boats and or like even the walking in previous Olympics, you'll see some older people out there too, and you'll be like, "What the hell is that person looks too old to be an Olympian?" But there's so many different events. Like I mean, shooting. archery. Like, you have a lot of events that older people even engage in, and so it's like it's very diverse as far as age groups, gender, like. So I love the Olympics competition in so many different ways, but I'll watch anything, Sean, to be honest. Like even I'll there's so many things on, I'll like turn past something just to watch it. Table tennis has kind of been, is crazy. I'll tune in for that for a couple seconds, even down to like power walking. I don't know if you ever watched that,
I've
which
seen
is a little bit frustrating because like, why don't you just damn run? Because it looks like you're trying to run. Then you see people getting disqualified. I'm like, they look like they're moving the same way everybody else is moving.
I saw a video of power walking and I like showed it to my mom and she told me she was like, "Oh, that person should have been disqualified because like someone made like a late push and ended up winning, but like apparently the rule is like you have to have like both or like
One
one
foot.
foot completely on the ground, you know. So it's
Yeah.
like a it's super technique based, you know. You can't just start running, otherwise you'll get disqualified. So
It looks way harder than running, man. It's like I tried it every year. I'm like, man, let me see what this feels like. I start doing it around the house. I'm like, man, this is harder than running. Like it, I feel like my muscles are like more engaged doing that, like those movements than actually running.
I feel like another fun sport to watch sometimes, and again, this is another one with judges, but surfing can be really fun.
Surfing's in Tahiti, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. So
Um, but yeah, I mean, I checked out rugby. Don't fully understand the sport. My uncle in London's always making fun of me. That's a real man sport, not that American football where you're wearing helmets. Lacrosse, field hockey, water polo. I think is one of the toughest sports, man. Like those guys, you see the underwater shots. These guys are like trying to murder each other under the water.
I had some friends who played uh water polo in college and stuff, and like it's brutal. I mean, it's similar, it's like it's one of those things where it's like swimming. Not I don't necessarily think that swimming is difficult, but like treading water like that is definitely
Yeah.
difficult. And then you're treading water
Hmm.
while being like elbowed by other people while also trying to catch a ball and throw it to people and get to the right spot. It's just like it's almost like hockey where it's like hockey's difficult because you're on ice trying to skate
Skater.
and then you're
Hmm.
also
Balance.
trying not to get like wrecked. So similar kind of concept.
Yeah, I see and they show the underwater shots, and the guys are pulling each other's shorts off. I'm like, what? I mean, they're doing anything to, stop the opponent from advancing or even getting a shot off. But there's been the shooting, the archery, which I mentioned. Skateboard is cool. BMX. These are all sports that have taken place so far in the Olympics, and there's more to come. But yeah, I mean, favorites though, the gymnastics, track and field, basketball. I'll tune in. I don't watch NBA, but I'll tune in to see our country compete against other countries. Um, the track and field, the triathlon's really cool. It's a shame that got canceled this year. Um, I don't know when breakdance is, but I don't know if you know that got added breakdancing.
I heard that that was a new one this year. That'll definitely be interesting.
Yeah, breakdancing. I mean, um, even the track and field part where you have the
Like javelin.
decathlon and
Oh,
things
okay.
like that.
Yep.
Where you do, where you have you do the track, you do the shot put, you do the high jump, you do it's kind of like gymnastics where you have all these all around events that you do. I think that's really cool. Um, I'm sure there's a lot that I'm forgetting. How can I forget about boxing?
Yeah, I was gonna
Boxing's
say,
fun.
being someone that is big combat sports guy, I was thinking you'd like boxing, judo, all of those that are in there as well.
Yeah, which reminds me, I don't think you saw the email, but Nick Sanders reached out to me and he sent me the schedule. Shout out to Nick Sanders. With Combat Australia, training a lot of the Australian combat athletes out there. Good friend to Extropian, and hopefully we'll work with him in the future. But he sent me the schedule of all the fighters that he's been working with and when their events are and things like that. So I've been keeping track and uh, pulling for them, because our relationship with him, unless they're playing, fighting or competing against Americans. That's a given. But yeah, shout out to him. But yeah, no, Taekwondo, Judo, boxing, um, which they don't get enough shine in my opinion. Um, on the schedule, they don't cover it as much. Wrestling, um,
MMA doesn't
some
get
of the grapple
MMA
sports.
isn't a Olympic sport, right?
No, they've talked about it. I think jiu-jitsu will at least get in there.
Okay.
I think jiu-jitsu makes sense to me.
Yeah, I could see that.
Um, that I think they're making a push for that. But I was even thinking powerlifting is always fun to watch. It's scary, one of the scarier ones too, because I'm always like, my God, like if this thing comes down, which I've seen it happen before, it comes down on somebody, Lord. Um, but no, it's really cool just seeing all of the different events and seeing these athletes that have trained so hard and given their all and taken so much time and so many years to perfect their craft, go out there against their the different countrymen, sometimes competing against their own countrymen. One that's crazy that I haven't seen yet is the indoor cycling.
Okay.
Have you ever watched that?
No. Is it like
You've got to watch
is
that
it
one.
like
It's
like skating where like the how they do like the like ice skating race thing like that in a circle?
somewhat similar, but it's weird because it's like almost looks like a wooden circle. It's like kind of concave.
Okay.
Like how like a track kind of like goes
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's similar to that, and there'd be like I forget I think there's like two guys or two girls on there at a time or something like that. But literally they just go round and round, and there's a strategy behind it. I'm not sure too familiar exactly what it is, but that's pretty intense too. I mean, I mentioned table tennis, swimming, big swimming fan as well, man. Like the relays especially are fun. I even watched like the high diving. Like that's another one where it's judge based, and man, those judges are really harsh. The amount of splash, the synchronization.
I I saw a clip of one of the divers getting a 0.00 because
Oh yeah, what belly flop or something?
he like tried to flip and he flipped like one too many times and just landed like fully on his back like and made like a giant splash and they were just like, yeah, that's not gonna be very good.
Um, I was going through a list of. I think we mentioned a good majority of this. Looking through this list, but yeah, trampoline. I didn't even know that was one. Rugby, rowing is it can be cool as well.
Yeah, that one's usually fun. Um,
Pentathlon, canoe sprint. Yeah, I mean, what's going to be interesting, I think, in the coming years is some of the ones that they're going to be adding or they're looking to add. Have you heard about some of those sports?
no, I was actually gonna that was gonna be my next question was like what, you know, obviously we've talked before about how in America that, we always tend to find these new kind of emerging obscure sports that
Yeah.
other people are like, what the heck is this? And I was gonna ask like if there's any sports that you think should be in the Olympics in the coming, in the coming years or, in the future at some point. But what were some of the sports that you said they are adding?
Some of the sports that they are adding that I heard allegedly esports. So I
Okay.
don't know what game they're going to be adding, but I think that's gotten big enough that they're going to be adding that. I mentioned I think that Brazilian
Yep.
jiu-jitsu is going to be added in. I mean, flag football,
Yep.
which I think is going to be cool. I mean, I think it's a way for people to get more. It's a little different, obviously, but acclimated to American football. Some of the things that make the sport great. I think that opens up a huge NFL. I think is doing a really good job with that and pushing that initiative. So I think when we host the Olympics in LA, I believe it is,
Okay. Is that the next one or is
um,
that 2028?
leave so. But that's kind of I'm assuming that Yeah, Los Angeles 2028.
Okay.
Um, so I'm sure it's a big push by the NFL to get more recognition for the sport around the world through flag football. But that what would I like to see added? What do I think might also be added? I think pickleball will probably be added because it's just getting too big.
Yeah, I was gonna say that one. I mean, obviously it's gotten huge in America, but I've heard that it's gotten big, also in other countries, South Africa. I mean, there's also there's pickleball, then there's padel or paddle, and it's like a
Uh,
it's a it's weird. There's like walls around the court, and you can like hit it off the walls. Like you don't just have like it's kind of yeah,
Padel.
yeah, Padel. Um,
We really are inventing new sports every day because I've never heard of that one. And we talk about new sports all the time.
and I've heard that for a while they've been trying to get like ultimate frisbee into the Olympics.
That makes
I
sense.
mean I
That
could
makes sense.
definitely
Disc
see it.
golf, disc golf should be in.
Disc golf I could see too. It's definitely I think they're starting to expand it more. I mean, for a while, disc golf was like really popular. Like most of the popularity was in America, but like you see now, like they're having like the professional events over in Europe and Norway and
Mhm.
Sweden and places like that. So as long as they continue to kind of expand into other countries and get that more of a global presence, I could see disc golf getting in there at some point. Um,
Yeah, there's a couple of new sports I see. I don't know. ESPN has random sports on it. So what's the game again where it's like you have like a trampoline type
spike
thing and
ball,
you hit the ball, spike
yeah,
ball.
I could see that. I mean, you could play that basically where you play the like beach volleyball basically, um
Yeah.
and then
Oh, I'm not sure. I didn't see it on the list, but you ever seen when they play? Is I forget what the name is. It's like a hybrid of soccer and volleyball.
handball,
Huh?
is it handball or no?
No, you're using your feet, like a mixture of soccer and
Oh,
volleyball,
oh, what's it called? It's like futsal or something, or
something like that.
I think I know what you're talking about. um
I didn't see that on there, but that's another one that can be done on the sand.
you think cornhole ever
But
makes it in there?
I don't think that one's gonna make it.
uh
I won't be surprised, but I don't see that making it in there.
I like
What?
the thought of adding esports because I think that's a pretty global. I mean, obviously, it's another one that I think America puts a lot into, but I think you have high level esports players from all over the world. So,
I don't even know if you've ever watched Tag,
oh,
but
yeah, I've watched that professional.
I could see that making it into at some point.
Yeah, that one would be interesting. I could see that. Um, have you ever watched the like battle bots, like where they have like the like robots fighting?
Yeah, yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if that would ever make it in there because it's more of a like I feel like it's more of the like obviously the people are driving it and controlling the robot, but it's more of like the machine.
Hmm.
It's similar. I wonder like it doesn't seem like there's a lot of things where like the machines like there's not like a NASCAR or an F1 in the Olympics, at least not that I've ever heard of. So seems like things where like the
No,
machine is doing the like can alter your performance, those tend to not make it into the Olympics.
well, it's kind of like equestrian. Equestrian is in the Olympics,
It's
and
true.
you're using the horse is really doing, you know, I mean, you're guiding it, but it's like guiding a car, I would say.
That
Like,
that is
you
true.
know,
Yeah, the horse. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's like does the horse also get a gold medal, or is it just the person?
the horse should get the damn gold, the majority of the gold medal, in my opinion. Um, because the thing is too is like building a track though, just specifically for racing.
Yeah,
it would have to already exist, or like you would have to build it. I don't know.
But I mean, if they already have one
Yeah.
for like, if it's in LA, I'm sure there's tracks somewhere in LA that they could potentially race on. Maybe not, but actually in LA,
And then the
probably
cards come
not because
through.
of, they don't even like gas-powered cars, so I doubt that they would.
Yeah, that's gonna be interesting when they bring it out there. But no, I think there's already so many sports. There's so many more that could be added, and it's always interesting to see what they put on the list and what they take off and the reasoning behind it. But like they were trying to, I think, get boxing out, but I'm like, it just started getting good because they don't wear headgear anymore. You know what I mean? So there's been some knockouts already in the Olympics, which is like, in the past you wouldn't see too often.
It's very interesting. It seems like there's a lot of sports that are in there that I'm kind of like I wouldn't think of them as like oh yeah, like this is a like like I don't think of it as an Olympic sport like off the top of my head. Obviously it is, and I feel like some of them are in there and have been in there for a long time, and it's kind of like they're just like
Hmm.
essentially grandfathered in, where it's like or maybe they're just not popular in America, but they're significantly more popular in these other countries. Like, I mean, table tennis to me is still like such a funny one because it's like in America, it's like, oh, that's like just a little hobby that people have. They have a table tennis thing, and or we call it ping pong more so, but you have ping pong in your
Yeah.
basement, and you and your friends play ping pong and stuff. Versus like these other countries, it's like a legit like that's their time to shine is when table tennis comes up.
I don't know if you ever watched it, man.
Oh,
Like I
it's
was watching
crazy.
a couple
They're so
matches.
good.
These people are wild.
They're hitting like freaking like bullets at each other, and then like they just return it,
Yeah.
and like the accuracy that they have. Oh my God, it's no,
The serve is crazy.
yeah, everything about it. I mean, like, and I'm not taking anything away from table tennis, but it's just funny how the perception of it in America is like, oh, this is a little like game, like it's like a fun game, versus like in these other countries, it's a legitimate sport that like you're trying to get the greatest in the world. You're trying to go to the Olympics and compete. So it's just a funny, different perception of it.
I think the stigma is too is like the names attached to it because like you can have stars and like say our top golfers may participate in the golf. Now tennis is one that people like a lot in the Olympics because it's the biggest names in tennis. Basketball now we're having the biggest names, men and women's basketball, soccer or football. Has some of the biggest names. I'm sure rugby does too. Don't know enough about the athletes, but like I'm surprised darts is pretty big in Europe. Like I'm surprised they don't have a darts competition too. You know what I mean?
I could see it. Yeah, I mean, and yeah, that's another one that I could see getting in there at some point.
Um, yeah, no, the thing is this. I was even thinking of the crazy sports. Have you? Because it just popped in my head. Omega ball, where it's like three soccer nets,
Oh,
three goals.
I mean, I've played something similar, but I've never seen it played professionally or anything like that.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised that made it in a dodgeball. I'm surprised isn't one. I wonder if that's ever been in there.
Dodgeball would be
Dodgeball,
fun. I think they should add that one.
kickball, dodgeball, kickball, baseball.
Baseball used to
Is
be in
baseball
there, or no? I know they have the World Baseball Classic, the WBC, which is essentially like the World Cup.
2028?
What?
They're bringing it back
Okay.
2028.
Yeah, that's an interesting one too. Um,
Yeah, I mean, because it's played worldwide already, so it's not
is
like
cricket in there?
that's one I was thinking about. So it says here that their new sports vie for places. They said dodgeball's one of them. Frisbee, it looks like frisbee on sand though, like
I
some
mean that
type of
yeah, sometimes Ultimate's played on sand instead of the grass. It's kind of either one or the other, it doesn't really matter.
teak ball, which looks like you're kicking it over. It looks like a mixture of table tennis and soccer.
Interesting. Okay.
Dodgeball.
Oh, I know what that is. Yes, I've seen that one before.
You know what I haven't seen yet is mount like rock climbing.
Yeah, that'd be an interesting one.
Sport climbing. That's been in there before, but I have not seen it yet. Teak ball. They talk about teak ball again. So yeah, there's always some new sport that people are playing. I wonder if they're gonna add it in their new sports for us to talk about. But also it's a way of introducing these sports to people that never watched it before. Try and help them gain traction. But so many things out there, man. Like that's what's cool about the Olympics. If you have a particular sport you like, you can watch your country compete in it, and that's what the Olympics has always been about. And getting right now trying to get the most gold medals and the most medals, which is kind of a weird thing too, because now it used to, we based ours off of the most medals, but a lot of other countries seem to be like, who has the most gold medals is the top team.
And
But
yeah, I mean, right now, as of recording this, America does have the most medals. We have 27 medals total. But we only have 4 gold medals versus People's Republic of China has 8 gold medals, 6 silver, 2 bronze. So it'll be interesting
how
to
many do we
see
have?
how it all plays out. I could see us getting a few more gold medals, but um,
Yeah,
go ahead.
we're gonna kill it in track and field and some of the on field things. So I have no qualms that we're not gonna come out on top like we always do. USA, USA. Um, we need some more champs besides just USA, USA. But no, it's super interesting, man. Like, hopefully you get to watch a little bit more. I know you're gonna watch the basketball, which is today at some point, I think. Um, but maybe you'll tune in. It sounds like your parents are have your mom at least is pretty heavy into it.
Yeah, yeah, both my parents tend to like watching the Olympics.
Yeah. So anyhow, I thought we always try and tie it into what we're building and what we're doing. I thought it was interesting. Yesterday, I was helping a friend with a situation, and he it was me, him, and an individual I'd never met before. So we sat and we were watching, and he's watching. I think gymnastics was on, and he was like, "Man, your device and your technology would be great for this." And then I'm like, "Yeah, we talked about it a little bit." He's like, "I could see it doing this. I could see it doing that." Then swimming came on. He's like, "Man, I could see it being used there too." And I'm like, "Yeah, we could do this. We could do that with it." And he was even bringing up things like, "Man, it'd be great for this, and it'd be great for that feature of the sport." And then another sport came on. He's like, pretty much like, "Man, your technology could work for anything, really, right?" I'm like, "Yeah, that's what it's built for." So it's cool seeing people watching these sports and these different athletes and whatever endeavor they're trying to do. And he even mentioned, like, because we were talking about something else, being the best version of yourself. Like life is about being the best version of yourself. He brought that up when we were talking about different subject, and it was like a tie-in to everything that we're trying to do here, which is really cool. And I was like, yeah, we were just talking about the Olympics and all these different sports and these athletes wearing it, and then you just happened to mention one of our taglines, and I was like, yeah, that's what we're trying to do. He's like, yeah, that all makes sense. So it was a really cool conversation yesterday and a tie-in to what we're doing here. And why we're doing it, because there's young men and women that want to be the next Usain Bolt, Michael Phelps, the next Simone Biles, the next, all of these great athletes. And I think with our technology, it's only going to make all of these incredible feats that are currently happening allow people to be even greater or surpass these high standards that people have created that we're watching today's
Yeah,
Olympics.
it's always fun hearing those like, affirmations from other people, yeah, especially if they like are just like, oh wow, like, this could really use your technology or that could really use your tech or oh like, and then
Yeah,
like you said, like coming to the realization of, oh wow, like all of these things could use your technology. It's like, yeah, that that's the goal,
yeah.
that's the vision, that's the dream right there.
Yeah, especially when you're seeing there's other technologies, and again, not to crap on anybody else's vision or their technology, but when you see what's out there and these people that I was talking to have used some of these things, seeing what we have and being like, damn, I see it going further than what I currently have. The other cool thing too was the guy that I'd never met before that I just was sitting having lunch with. Um, he was like, "Oh, what are you guys talking about?" And he was like asking me to show it to him, and explain it to him. When I did, he's like, "Man, that's incredible." And he started then talking about use cases and things like that. So um, all tied together yesterday with the Olympics and with conversation that was happening, which is always, like you said, fun to have. So with that being said, wanted to wrap up. USA, more golds, please. Just want to see some fun competition, but we want to come out on top as always, dominate and be the best country, the ones that others follow. So with that being said, hope you guys tune into the Olympics. Hope you guys have a great, productive week. Hope you guys are trying to be the best versions of yourselves as well. So like, comment, subscribe, follow us, and if you're watching this retroactively, I'm sure most of you will when we come out with our tech. Yeah, hopefully America came out on top, like we were kind of suggesting there. So anyhow, for Sean, for myself, we'd like to thank you guys. Peace and blessings.